All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. How are you, Peter?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. My
And hope everybody
software's
else is good listening. If not, get good.
software's telling me that we're not broadcasting on Twitter.
Oh,
Okay, we'll just delete that. We don't need that crap. All right, so today's podcast. Okay, so today's podcast is number 470. And the
yep.
title of the podcast is Creative Real Estate Anti Negotiating. I'll give that to you again. Hang on one second. I just want to make sure. Okay, we're good. Because there's signals on my computer. Sorry, X is doing something on my computer. I thought maybe we weren't broadcasting live, but we are. All right, so here we are, episode number 470. Today's title is Creative Real Estate Anti Negotiating Secrets for Gargantuan Profits. Here's the description. Breaking. Psychological loophole discovered in creative real estate negotiating. This controversial new approach to creative real estate deal making is sending shockwaves through investor circles after several investors from our inner groups report their better than expected results. What we are about to reveal is so powerful, so dangerous to the guru establishments, they may try to shut this episode down. I really believe that, Peter.
Oh, well, hey, Bill, I wouldn't put it past them. The dirty.
Exactly. Exactly. They want you to fail because when you fail, you keep buying their courses, their books, their garbage systems that are designed to keep you broke and desperate. But today we will uncover the truth about how to get deals without negotiating. This psychological mechanism bypasses the human mind's resistance patterns. By the way, Peter, are you ready for this bombshell?
Always prepared with you, Bill. What? What?
Guru establishments use this on you to suck you in. So you know it works. And once you understand the psychological principles behind anti negotiating, you'll find it is impossible not to do deals. Impossible not to do deals. So let's dive into this breaking new development.
Cool.
It's not really new, it's just the first time I'm sharing it. So, anyways, here we go. Make sure you like us wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Make sure you subscribe to us so you know that when we're on the air, you can listen. We record every Thursday morning at 9:30 a.m. I've added a bunch of platforms, Peter. At least two or three platforms.
Yeah.
So we're broadcasting to 5 or 6 different social media. So for some of you, this is a new experience. Welcome, welcome. Make sure you head on over to Amazon. Type in my name, William Hawthorne, Hawthorn, and grab my book called Leads, Deals, Cash, Creative Real Estate Operators Manual. Very, very exciting book. I'm getting a lot of reviews, a lot of feedback, especially if you're new to the business and you're trying to figure out how to make your first deal and how to go from there and when to do your second, when to do your third. It's a step-by-step blueprint. Matter of fact, I never read this, but I'm going to read it today. It's the subheading on the book. It's brand new and revealed today. How to retire early with leads, deals, and cash booster blueprint. So it's the actual blueprint on how you're going to make a bunch of money with real estate. So go ahead and grab that. All right, Peter. So here we go. You ready to get started?
I'm ready and primed.
I've spent 30 years, Peter, 30 years studying and watching other investors struggle with the same fundamental problem. 30 years. I can't even count how many people I've seen this. This, by the way, is how I learned. This, by the way, is how I got to be where I am because of this exact fundamental. Here it is. They know creative real estate strategies enough intellectually, but they can't get sellers to say yes and close the deal. And I chased my tail on that for 33 decades, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the solution ends up being easier than you might think. It's not about learning more creative finance deal structuring or even mastering negotiating tactics. It's not that. It's way simpler than that.
Yeah.
It's about understanding some basic truths about human psychology that we all have, but most investors miss this point. They skip right over the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And by human psychology, I mean this. The scientific study, and study means either by reading or observing. I'm talking about observing.
Hmm.
So study doesn't always mean like sit down, read a book, take a test.
Right. No, watching real people doing real things. That's probably why people are watching you right now. Like, what does this guy know? They're studying. Bill, we're studying you.
Yeah, that's dangerous. But like sometimes, I'll be somewhere and I'll be with my kids. They're older now, but they're like, "Dad, you okay?" And I'll be just like staring at something or observing something. Like this happened to me not too long ago. This happened. I got somebody to just put in a big comment there for me. This happened to me not too long ago. I was going to New York for a convention for the church, and I was in Metro North, which is the railway that goes between Connecticut and I was just kind of like observing like how it all works and how long has that railroad been there. Right, and it's still going. I mean, the rail cars are decades old, but they're in good shape, and how the ticket person comes through, and it's just all incredible. It's just incredible, and I just learn from stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
While you're doing that, I have a friend for the audience who is totally into trains and knows everything. You have a conversation with him, he'll tell you when it started, when it changed from this train group that changed the name. He collects things. He looks like a conductor. He looks like one.
Right. Interesting. All right, cool. So anyway, so let me go back to that. So by human psychology, we mean the scientific study or observation of the human mind and its behavior. Now, here's the thing that you need to understand about the human mind. It's very obvious.
Yeah.
You can't see it.
I was going to say, well, what do you mean the human mind? People talk about it, but they don't know what it is. We can't see it. It's kind of invisible, or is it? What do you think?
You can't see it. So the only way you can understand the human mind is by the physical doingness of a person. Like they might say, "I really like you. You're my best friend," and then don't call you for 3 months. Right. So which one would you believe?
Sure.
Right. Sure. Which is the reason why I've often used this habit as look, don't listen. Right. So you're looking at what they're doing. You're not listening to what they say. Right. So it explores how people think and act when we delve into talking about their real estate transactions. Of course, all this is just natural instinct for most. But there actually is a scientific approach to this, and we're going to cover that exact science today so you can make sure deals get done and clients are happy.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So I've run sales crews for a long time, in different businesses. And one of the things I learned a long time ago when I was on the road, I would travel. I was a traveling sales guy for 45 weeks a year. I was on the road 3 days a week, 3 days a week, 45 days a week.
I remember that you were. I saw you not here. I saw you gone. Yeah, you were there.
And it was consulting for automotive repair shops, right? Because I owned an automotive repair shop for 27 years, right? And one thing that I had to teach my sales guys was collecting the money from somebody is not the product. Like if I have somebody that's going to be a coaching client, collecting the money is not my reward, not my product. What I need to do is make sure that once they pay the money, they're ready to be coached. They're ready to be delivered to. So too many people think that, once they get the document signed on a deal, they have a deal.
Yeah.
But that's not true. It's they have to be able to sign the document and be ready to work with you. That's just the beginning of the journey. It's not the end of the journey.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. So first, realize anti-negotiation is the complete opposite of what most investors are taught.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of back and forth battling over terms and price, it's a collaborative or a joint and shared exploration of possibilities. Some fancy words there, but it's a collaborative, meaning together, or joint and shared exploration of possibilities for you and the seller.
Right? Well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Anti-negotiation transforms you into partners solving a common problem. It's not a you give, I take type of thing, or you give, they take type of thing.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So
more messages from our followers.
Yeah. So it must be because we're on a new channel, because these guys are telling me that they love my podcast and they can increase my views, and I'm not interested.
Yippee.
So I'm not interested in that. So
trolling robots.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I'm not interested. So anti-negotiation transforms you into partners solving a common problem. Right? So you and the seller become partners in this deal. And that's a huge mind shift for a lot of people, Peter.
No, that sounds so much better than fighting with each other over the scraps or trying to squeeze money from each other. It's such a better viewpoint. And I always do better if I can manage to get that happening. I don't always do it right, but when I get connected with a person and see what they're trying to do, I'm sure you're going to tell us more the rest of the podcast, but it's a difference. I felt that, like, what do you when you really connect with somebody and you're trying to work with them, it's totally different.
You're going to be surprised in a couple minutes what I did. I don't even know how I came up with this, but I did.
Yeah? Good.
It was one of those aha moments. So
good.
The breakthrough for most creative real estate investors happens when they stop trying to convince sellers to accept their proposals, their proposed terms or price, and start using psychological tools to help them discover the perfect solution themselves. Right? So, we talked about the Socratic method, right?
Yeah, Socrates, the smart guy.
The Socratic method is to answer questions. I'm sorry, to ask questions and have them answer questions.
Right. Yeah.
The reason why you do that is because then they come to their own, like they thought of it. Well, this is a good idea. Even though you guided them, and even though you showed them, you do this with kids all the time. Like you coax them into having their own epiphany or realization or cognition or whatever you want to call it. Right? So it becomes their idea.
Sure.
And when it becomes their idea, it's not covert or anything. It's just when it becomes their idea, it's just different.
Sure.
Right.
Well, nobody likes being told what to do.
Right. Well, sometimes people like that. Like yesterday, I spent 3 hours with my attorney at $350 an hour.
Oh yeah.
On some lawsuit, right? So The interesting thing is I'm expecting him to tell me what he's going to do, and I kept asking him, and then finally I said to him, "Well, if I was you, here's what I would do,"
Uh,
and that took an hour.
yeah.
And when we got all done, he was like, "I'm so glad that we talked." Right? So I was
Yep.
expecting him to give me the answers because I'm paying $350 an hour.
Yeah. But
Right?
you know what's funny about this? Excuse me 1 second. Who's more who's more vested in having a solution to that your lawyer problem, and who's more vested in having a solution for the house problem?
That's right.
You as the client and the seller as the seller.
Yep.
They have more skin in the game, so they should be like more
Right.
willing to work with you and dig around
Right.
and work at it, because it's there. The lawyer can just go to the next job, but it's your scene. You need it
Right.
sorted out. And the seller needs a solution to his house. We can move on to the next guy. But this guy with the seller with his house, that's it. He needs us to help him find what is a good solution.
Right.
Makes sense.
So when you do it this way and you switch it around, instead of trying to convince sellers, instead you use psychological tools like asking questions. And I'm going to give those all to you in the next couple of minutes. We're going to be kicked off to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
This interrupts the expected pattern and bypasses defense reactions
Mm-hmm.
and invites the seller to articulate or express their ideal scene. And you want to know what the best thing about an ideal scene is?
What?
So, what's an ideal scene? Why don't you describe that first? I think you know.
Well, yeah, the way I would describe it is when you're working on anything, you have something in your head like, when we're through, this is how things should turn out in the end. Whatever it is, dinner, a party, a house sale, you want it to happen like this, this, this. That's what you're hoping for.
Right. So the definition of an ideal scene in my head is
Mm-hmm.
a goal,
Mm-hmm.
that you've mocked up in your head, like Maxwell Maltz said in the book Cybernetics.
Mm-hmm.
It's the movie in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So a goal is a goal. Like, this is what I want. It's like an intention. It's like instinct. This is what I want. It's an emotion.
Yeah.
Ideal scene is how you actually look at it in your head, the picture you're looking at. This is why people put up like these dream boards on the wall. They put up all these
Yeah.
things. That's what they're doing, right? It's an ideal scene.
Yeah.
It's reminding them what their ideal scene is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you help the seller paint that picture in their head,
Mm-hmm.
and you both understand it, you can both work at it together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, what's his name? Jim Camp in the book No, which is a sales book,
Mm-hmm.
says that vision makes decision,
Right.
right? So this takes away any sort of feeling like they're being manipulated, right, from
Mm-hmm.
a seller, and allows them for genuine understanding and truth and help. I could tell you, you want to make a lot of deals? I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you the one thing you need to make a lot of deals, the one thing, only one thing,
Yeah.
is when the seller feels understood and they feel like you can help them.
Mm-hmm.
Too often, sellers don't feel understood. They don't feel duplicated. They don't feel like we actually get their scene, like we're in their shoes and feeling the way they feel.
Right.
And people that do try to do that will fake it, and it won't be sincere. It won't be authentic.
Nope.
Right?
Nope. Nope.
So most important, sellers actually feel heard and empowered instead of pressured. Right? And creative solutions emerge naturally, leading to deals that traditional negotiation could never unlock.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does. One thing I'm thinking of, and not for anybody else, is when you're talking to a seller, how much of the vision do they have actually sorted out? All of it? Some of it? Because it's not all really formulated in their head, is it? Like their
Well,
solution or what they're trying
yeah.
to do?
unfortunately for the human mind, what happens is if you have a problem, right? A
Mm,
problem is actually like you have one motion going one way and another motion going the other way, like two trains on a track,
yeah.
right? So they're heading towards each other.
Hmm.
And when they meet, one train is stronger than the other, and it pushes it one way or the other.
Yeah.
So let's say you're the train on the left, and we'll say counter-intention is the train on the right. When they meet, the counter-intention train pushes you backwards,
Hmm.
and you don't get what you want. So
Right.
what happens is people so the definition so that's the definition of a problem is there's two ideas, right,
Hmm.
that are conflicting.
Yep.
So when you think of a solution, you're thinking of a solution like, oh, that's a solution, and it gives you hope to stop the conflict.
Hmm.
That hope may be completely imaginary,
Hmm.
right? So a seller can't sell their house,
Yeah.
right? And 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 oh, well, I'll just list it with a realtor, and they feel like that's the solution. That's the hope they have. Well, I'll just give it to the realtor, like me with my
Hmm.
lawyer paying $350 an hour,
Mm.
right? Which, by the way, I've thought about doing this many times, and I haven't done it.
What?
Is get national average statistics on how long a realtor spends on a deal and how much they get paid and what you're actually paying them per hour,
Wow. That's juicy.
right?
Hmm.
So I don't want to get into this because we're behind, but I wanted to, after this podcast, I'm going to talk to you about this. But one of the things that I want to do in the Creative REI Replay system, which is our software system, it's creativereireplay.com,
Hmm.
where we put leads in your account and we have a bunch of AI and all that stuff that makes appointments for you and all that shit. One of the things I think I want to do is I want to implement a bonus for making an appointment. So it's something that they'll want to come to an appointment with you to hear your offer, and
Hmm.
they get something that they want. And that
Mm.
bonus, I've named it as how to sell your house in 7 days or less for a fair price on the date of your choice. It's something like that. So,
Hmm.
anyways,
Hmm.
and have a report to show them how they can sell their house within 7 days and give them, choices.
Yeah. That's a good idea because you're giving them something that empowers them to understand their opportunities. I was going to say options.
Yep.
Also helps us because they know that what's going on a little better. So if we work with them, they're more knowledgeable, they're more
Right.
educated. That's
Yeah.
that's clever.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't want to get to, that's one of the problems with this business is we spend too much time educating.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool. So here we are. Here's what I've done. It's the dual psychological barrier most investors never overcome. There's two frameworks they don't ever overcome. So
Hmm.
today I'm going to reveal something I've never shared before. The connection between two powerful frameworks that, when combined, create a psychological breakthrough that can put you years ahead of your creative real estate journey. In other words, you can skip the beginner stage.
Hmm.
So last week, or last 2 weeks in our time, which is actually podcast number 468 and 469. So I'm saying last week because when we're recording this, but it's
Yeah.
actually podcast number 468 and 469. We talked about the creative real estate malpractice framework,
Hmm.
the 6 deadly mistakes that kill deals before they start, right?
Yep.
Today, I want to show you how these malpractice patterns connect directly to what I call anti-negotiation,
Okay.
right? By the psychological approach that eliminates the need for traditional negotiation entirely.
Mm.
And here's the breakthrough. Most investors are stuck in a painful cycle where they are routinely committing malpractice during their conversation and they use an outdated negotiating model, right? This
Mm.
creates a double psychological barrier that's almost impossible to break through without understanding the connection between them. Am I making sense here? It's a little bit deep,
Mm.
but I think I have to do this, right?
Yeah.
The good news is once you see this connection, which I'm going to show you in about 30 seconds, I'm going to start showing it to you. You can immediately implement a combined approach that eliminates both barriers simultaneously. So I'm almost there, but you should, if you're listening to me and you should get paper and pencil because I'm going to give you some questions and stuff you're going to want to write down. Okay. This is how you skip years of painful lessons and positions yourself at the front of and get at the front of the line of deals. So I understand all the stuff about having to learn deal structuring and negotiating and scripts and all that stuff. It is what it is. You do what you got to do there. But I'm telling you, this skips ahead of all of that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep. Boy, you're getting a lot of messages today.
Oh my God, there's like 6 of them. All right, cool. Well, I give him credit. He's on my podcast, or he was on my podcast. I think he left.
When you said I'm not doing any of that, maybe.
Yeah, he says I'm not trying to promote anything. Just wanted to share what's working for me. I made over 20K in a few months using a site called whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go, Peter. Ready?
I'm ready.
So first barrier of malpractice is your offer isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
So we covered this in podcast number 468. We covered the 6 malpractices, and then podcast number 469, we gave you all the solutions to stop doing that. And this podcast is all about extending it to the anti-negotiation solution.
Mm-hmm.
So barrier number 1 is your offer isn't working. The problem is you're making offers based on what you think the seller needs, not what they actually need.
Mm-hmm.
You're treating symptoms instead of diagnosing their disease. You're rushing to numbers without understanding motivation. And sellers feel like you're not listening to their specific solution or their problem.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do. The anti-negotiation solution is, and you're gonna want to stab me in the eye with your pencil when you hear this one.
It's a good thing you're not in the same room anymore.
The first thing you're going to want to use is to use the 12 magical words to make every deal, anytime. If today's the first time you ever heard the words creative real estate, you could make a deal using these 12 words.
Yeah.
If you've done 1,000 deals, you can make more deals using these 12 words.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll get to that at the end of the podcast.
Ah, nice one.
No,
nice
I'm
one.
not.
Come on.
I'm just busting.
Come on.
Here they are. Ready?
Yes.
What would have to happen for me to buy your house today?
I lip synced as you said it. What would have to happen for me to buy your house today?
I don't care if you just bought a list, right? Like suppose you were to go to My Plus Leads, which we use their leads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you had PropStream or Property Radar, and you had all these leads. Mm-hmm. If you just literally called them up and said, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? You'd get deals.
Mm-hmm.
Minimally, you'll learn a whole shit bunch of stuff about your seller. Right? This, by the way, this is the reason why we've used it for so many years. This creates a pattern interrupt and bypasses defense barriers. Mm. When I used to teach sales back in the day, which I was really sloppy at it. Now I can't even imagine some of the shit that I did. But I used to teach sales is like, and this is not sales, this is negotiating, but it's like playing tennis. Mm-hmm. Only time you have to do anything is when the ball's in your court. And your only job when the ball's in your court is to hit it back into the other court.
That's right.
That's your only job. Right? And sooner or later, you'll get enough information. You'll say, okay, here's what I can do.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it shifts, it creates a pattern interrupt that bypasses defensive barriers. Let me give you an example. Just a couple of examples that are not real estate related.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody says you're fat.
Mm.
Oh, well, who's everybody? Who said that?
Mm-hmm.
When you get the specifics and take the generality away, all of a sudden you interrupt the pattern.
Yeah, if you can do it though, but most people are going to get introverted on what's said about them and get defensive instead of
So
being
now
objective.
let's do this with real estate.
Okay.
Seller says to you, I get five people like you a day calling me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
I say, well, do you have any written offers?
Yeah.
And they go
blah 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 blah.
You see, so
how come the house isn't sold yet?
Exactly. So those are the interruptions. Like those questions are interrupters that bypass the circuit they're on.
Yeah.
Right, because it's like pushing a button on a conveyor belt and it just turns on and goes, and this breaks it. Right.
Yeah. Well, it's like they're batting it back at you.
Yeah.
But you say something like that, they have to say something.
Right. So shifts the conversation from your agenda to their needs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. When you say, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? It shifts you saying, I'll give you this much, or this is what I can do, over to like, well, what are their needs?
Yeah.
With 12 words. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it invites them to articulate your ideal scene in their own words. Right? I said there. It should be, let me do it again.
Yeah.
It invites them to articulate. What does articulate mean?
It means like explain it clearly, put it into words with that vision they have in their head that you can't see. They have to tell you so you can get an idea of what are they thinking.
Right. So articulate means to speak or express oneself clearly and effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Let me see if I get another definition here.
Yeah, I like tying it into what you're saying, though. This person has a vision in their head that we can't see their mind. This is how we see their mind when we ask the questions. So they explain what they're thinking that we can't see. How else are we going to understand?
Right.
They must articulate.
You need to clearly understand their objective.
Mm-hmm.
So what most people miss is the most obvious things. Like, I'm going to give you an example. I was with my lawyer yesterday, so I'm getting sued because one of my tenants lit a pilot light, and they say the furnace blew up.
Mm-hmm.
And they got injured. Right?
Yeah.
So I go through this whole thing with my lawyer yesterday, and this guy's $350 an hour. He's not a slouch. Big firm, big office building.
Yeah.
And we get in, and once I realized that he was not giving me advice I needed, I popped the question on him. And this is what I did, is I did the interrupter, and I bypassed everything he was doing.
Wow.
With one question.
Uh-huh.
Because they're trying to prove negligence on me taking care of the furnace.
Yeah.
And that's what the lawsuit's about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him, I said, I have a question for you. I said, yeah. I said, do you have evidence that the furnace blew up? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I have pictures of the furnace, and let me ask you this. What do you envision when you hear the word blown up furnace? And he actually, his head nodded a little bit. He goes, that's a good question. And I said, okay. He says, I said, so do you envision like mangled metal, like a crashed car? He goes, yeah. I said, so if something blew up enough to damage somebody, wouldn't there be like fire or flames? He goes, I would think so. I said, well, it's interesting because the furnace has a little cubby hole in it, and there's a gas valve there, and there's wires there, and none of them are melted. And there's no mangulation to the furnace at all. It looked exactly like I had left it a few weeks before, because I was there to service it myself. Mm-hmm. And there's no burnt paint on the furnace. There's no remnants of a blow up. He was like, "Oh my God, that changes the whole case." I'm like, "Yeah,
That's interesting.
because I introduced the interrupter and bypassed his thinking."
Well, about 2 minutes ago, you said, "Oh, the furnace blew up in his face," and I'm thinking people are just going to believe that it happened just because
Right.
somebody said so. You
Well,
said it,
the fireman did,
yeah,
and the fireman called the gas company, and they shut the gas off,
yeah.
and it cost me $3,000 to put all new gas pipes in because the gas company wouldn't turn the gas back on until we had a pressure test and yada 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 blah blah blah, and it was all because of verbal circuitry.
Someone said,
Yep. So when you ask these questions, it invites them to articulate their ideal scene in their own words. So you're going to tweak that picture and say, "Let me get this straight," and we're going to go over all that stuff, right?
"Yeah,
So here's how you implement this approach on barrier number one.
mm-hmm.
Okay, I gotta move along. I gotta stop chit chatting, right? So here we go. Start every seller conversation with these exact 12 words. What would have to happen for me to buy your house today? Now I know I got scripts and I know I've trained you a whole bunch of ways, but if you want to test it, just test it,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Ask with genuine curiosity, not as a tactical question.
Right,
Be silent after asking and let them fully answer without interrupting them.
wow,
Listen to needs beyond just price, timing, hassle, certainty. That's what you're looking for.
say that again."
So listen for needs beyond just price. So
Yeah,
you're listening for timing, hassle, certainty, right? Like,
aggravation factor. Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, just listen. And then follow their answer with this. You ready?
yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Oh my,
And go deeper.
yeah,
This is anti-negotiating.
yeah. Bill,
Very
you're not going to believe it. I'm trying not to say this, but yesterday I've had a dry spell. I've had a tough week, but I forced myself on the phone. I found a phone number. Somebody called in. I had no data at all. I knew that she called in. So I called her. It's like, I don't even have her name. And it turns out she goes, it was a text from the Google Voice. She goes, "I know you're probably a wholesaler, but you call me, so you want to call me?" I get on the phone. She goes, "Well, you're probably a wholesaler." I said, "No, no, no, I'm not. I'm not. Tell me what's." It turns out she bought a house with the husband for her son, hopefully someday in the future, as an investment to help the kid out. In the meantime, he gets diabetes. He doesn't want to do it. He can't do it. They start taking the house apart when they bought it. They haven't ever rented it. They've had it for years. The top floor is gutted. You can live in the downstairs, but we don't know what to do. And I had to get off the phone because I had an appointment. I hardly asked, but she was doing what you're saying. Like, "Lady, what's going on? Oh my God, my son is sick, and we got the thing. We don't know what to do." That's the kind of problem we're looking for, isn't it?
exactly.
And I got off the phone. I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute. I know. So I just thought about it this morning. We had a couple of minutes to think of what we could do to help her. Who's going to buy that house?
Right.
Aha. I think I know. So that's another story, but it's exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know what the house is worth.
Yep.
I said, by the way, at the end of the,
That's all secondary once you find
yeah,
out the willingness or the motivation of the seller.
yes, you're so right. At the end, I said, wait a minute. What's the address?
Yep.
I did, yeah. So what you're saying makes so much sense, having kind of gone through that yesterday, and I had to get off, but in 9 minutes, I had all that.
Nice.
Phew.
All right. Barrier number 2. All right. Of our
Yep.
malpractice. Right.
Yeah.
It's what I'm calling commission breath.
Now, why did you call? I didn't have a commission breath. Why that? Like bad breath, or
Yeah. So as soon as I explain it, I thought I explained it in 2 podcasts, but it's
yeah.
desperate. It's desperate energy focused on getting the deal.
I'm just curious why you called it breath. That's all.
It's because you're close enough to them to make them feel like you got bad breath,
Good. I'm
right?
just curious on the
Yeah, this is where
Symbolism.
your negative energy or your what we used to call neediness is just pouring out of you and just you're making them run away from you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're pushing for decisions before the seller's ready. You're making it about your timeline instead of theirs,
Yeah.
right? Sellers can smell being the commission breath, right? Sellers can smell your desperation and put their defenses up,
Yep.
put you on the defense, right?
Yep.
Now the anti-negotiating solution is explicitly acknowledge their veto power.
Yeah.
Wow. Never used those words before.
No.
Explicitly acknowledge their veto power. And you do it like this. You have complete freedom to say no to anything that doesn't work for you.
Ah. You tell them that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I have an idea, and you have total freedom to just say no to any of it. But let me explain it.
Okay.
Right? You're creating space for them to feel like they're in control. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're removing pressures that trigger defense responses. And you slow down your speech and make more pauses.
Oh, so they have a chance to say, I don't like that?
No, so they
Why?
have a chance to digest what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's true.
you just pause like if you say, like I do, I just did it with you. I do it all the time with you. I do it all the time with everybody. I'll say something
Well,
and then I'll pause
yeah.
and I'll wait for your response.
Well, as a teacher, I have to make sure my students go, oh yeah, before just
Right.
blah, 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 blah. Tell
Right.
them 10 things, of course.
And
But
not
on the
enough
phone,
investors do that.
yeah, and off the phone, you really got to be careful because you can't see if they're like following with their face.
Right.
Okay,
So
that's good.
how do you implement this? You start the conversation with, now Peter, you're going to laugh your ass off because the first time I did this in a house, I thought you were going to faint. You turned pure white.
Yep.
Okay.
I worked
So
hard to get that appointment.
I'm gonna dampen it down here. I'll tell you what I really say when I'm in a house, but I'm gonna tell you what it is. I'm not sure I can help you, but I'd like to understand your situation.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm in a house, I say, after they tell me the whole thing, well, you know what? I'm sorry to say, I don't think I'm your guy. I don't know if I could buy this house.
You
This
sucked
house
it.
is,
There was
yeah,
no air in the room after you said
yeah,
that. Air was sucked out.
right. So you start the conversation with saying, I'm not sure I can help you, but I'd like to understand your situation. Right.
Mm,
Use phrases like, you're in complete control here, right?
yeah.
Or this only makes sense if it works for you. I use that one all the time. I have an idea, but this only makes sense if it works for you, right? Ask, does this feel comfortable to you?
Mm,
Right? After presenting ideas, give them multiple options rather than a single solution, right? So
mm,
there's comparativeness there going on, right? Focus on solving their problem, not closing your deal.
yeah.
Barrier number 3, prescription without diagnosis.
Oh.
This is malpractice number 3. The problem, jumping to creative solutions before understanding their problems. Explaining how deals work before knowing what they need. This is what I call
Oh.
giving. This is what I call giving a creative real estate seminar,
Yeah.
and it's on the verge of begging. Right, making it all about your expertise instead of their situation.
Yeah.
Offering the right solution to the wrong problem. This is what 98% or 95 to 98% of all investors do. This is the number one malpractice in my head. They're offering the right solution for the wrong problem.
Yeah.
They think they understand the person's problem and they're giving a solution. Like, for example, subject to is like that all the time. People tell, I got the subject to deal. And then I find out they didn't even talk to them. It's mathematically that way, but not emotionally.
Sure. Yeah, just because the math works for us doesn't mean it's going to fit them emotionally.
Right.
Okay.
So here's 7 questions. I'm just going to rattle them off. The anti-negotiation solution is follow the medical model and use 5 to 7 diagnostic questions. Number 1, what's your primary reason for selling this property? Right? These are in my scripts. What's your primary reason for selling this property? 2, what have you tried so far to solve this situation? So again, 2, what have you tried so far to solve this situation?
Yep.
3, what would your ideal timeline look like? To me, these are common sense questions, but evidently not, because not enough people are asking them. 3, again, repeating it. 3, what would your time, well, I'll give that to you again. 3, what would your ideal timeline look like?
Yep.
Number 4, what's more important to you, getting your full price or certainty of a closing? That's off of one of your questions. Right? So 4, what's more important to you, getting full price or certainty of a closing? Number 5, are there specific terms that would make this easier for you? So that's 5. Are there specific terms that would make this easier for you? 6, what would your ideal scenario look like? Repeating it. 6, what would your ideal scenario look like? 7, if we could solve whatever their problem is, let's say it's a tax lien or you got to move or divorce or whatever, right? If we could solve their specific problem, how would that change things for you? Repeating that again. If you could solve their specific problem, how would things change for you? Now, I didn't put this one down here because I kind of bounced around on whether I don't want to explain this, so that's why I didn't put it. But I'm going to just tell you. The most powerful thing that I do is once I ask, so if we could solve your tax lien problem, how would that change things for you?
Yeah.
And then they would tell me. Then I would ask them, if we didn't solve that problem, how would that affect others around you?
Yeah.
Because they're willing to take the pain, but they don't want their environment, like their wife or their kids or their mother or their father or their whoever. They're not willing to have their pain spill over into those other people's worlds. And that's a hard-hitting question. So how to implement this approach? Follow the medical model, symptom, diagnosis, treatment plan, and prescription. We talked about this in podcast number 469, right?
Yep.
And we elaborated on it. Ask at least 5 diagnostic questions before mentioning any creative structure, right? So we always say get 5 no's. What I'm saying here is ask 5 diagnostic questions before you actually give them an offer, right? Summarize their situation before presenting solution. So it's like, so what I'm hearing is you have a tax lien problem, right?
Yeah.
So you need to summarize it and you need to make sure you have it before you give the presentation.
Yep. You have to make sure that, well, that's what you do. I say you repeat it back. So you're saying this is the problem. This is why you're selling the house. This is your main concern about this. And they go, not really. You go, geez, I'm glad I didn't go ahead.
I barely graduated from high school. So my English and grammar, I'm a New Yorker. I got a lot of slang. I grew up in the car business. You know, I'm a hillbilly. I grew up in the backwoods. So I'm not that grammar guy, right? Which you know when you listen to me talk, right? So when I say, so what I'm hearing is a polite way of saying it. I just say, so let me get this straight. You're saying that the tax lien is holding you back. You know, I'm a little bit more aggressive because that's just my personality, but not everybody's like that, right?
No, but you make the point. You just want to verify. However you say it doesn't matter. Your way out. Just say it the way you say it. So I want to make sure I understand you. Is this what it is? Just whatever.
Right. So this one is a writer downer.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Help them visualize concrete benefits. And here's how you do it. You say, imagine if you could
Uh-huh.
not having that tax lien and walking away in 7 days. Right? Or imagine if you could never having to worry about to cut the grass again. Imagine if you could getting rid of this thing and never worrying about it again.
Yeah.
That's the decision. That's the vision that makes the decision, right? Create clear. Now pay attention to this, Peter. I'm like breezing through these because we only have 10 minutes left and I still got 3 more barriers to do, right? Create clear before and after scenarios so that they can mentally picture where they are and where they're going. I'm telling you, I could do a 2-day lecture on this. The word is called transformation. Every human being on planet Earth is in a transformation. I'm too fat, I want to lose weight. I'm hungry, I gotta get food. I gotta pee, right?
Yep.
I want to do this, I want to do that. Today, I got to get through today. Everybody's in a transformation. We call this time.
Yeah.
Right?
Change.
Right?
Yeah.
So everybody's in a transformation. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a clear before and after scenario of their transformation and how you would be beneficial and bring value to helping them do that.
Boy, that would show them the comparison between how they feel on one thing and how they would feel on the other one. And
Yeah.
that's getting that feeling thing going.
Yeah. Barrier number 4 or malpractice number 4. Seller wants a second opinion. Right? And the problem that causes this is you're not building diagnostic confidence. You're making them feel rushed into decisions. You're failing to demonstrate genuine understanding, and sellers don't trust your assessment of their situation.
Mm-hmm.
The anti-negotiating solution is use these strategic follow-up questions to build trust and reveal true motivation. There's 5 of them. Number 1, how come you haven't gotten what you want yet? Number 2, what have you done so far to achieve that? Number 3, how long have you been trying? Number 4, and I preface this with my partner, I don't know the answer to that. Right?
Oh.
This is what you say if you don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But my partner's really good at that. Right? So like if you're agreeing, you could just say, I don't know the answer to that, but my partner's really good at that. And then you send in a support ticket or you get on my coaching or you get into creative REA replay or whatever, or not even me, but somebody else, you go investigate it.
Ask ChatGPT. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Once you do that, you say, I don't know the answer to that, but my partner's really good at that. Here's the question. If I were to call my partner for help, what would you want most from them?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the last one, number 5, did you call because you haven't been able to get what you want anywhere else? That's the biggest reason most people call you or get on the phone with you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And how you implement this is you think out loud so they understand your reasoning processes. And you've heard me do this a bazillion times with coaching clients. I think out loud. Well, if this, blah, 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 and then they give me more data. Well, now, because whenever I'm coaching, I'll go through a 10-minute solution with somebody, and at the very end, I'll ask a question like, oh, well, he's in probate. Huh. It changes the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Why don't you tell me that in the beginning?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, but you have to extract information from people. So as you're extracting the information from the seller, you're processing how things would change and how you would talk to them. So you think out loud. You tell people what you're thinking. You go through the process with them out loud, right?
Yeah.
Explain why you're asking each question, right? Acknowledge their concerns before addressing them. Right? Oh, I understand that blank. I understand that your husband doesn't want you to, but, and then you go from there, right? Compare your solution with alternatives they've already tried, right? So you tried selling it with a realtor and couldn't get it sold. So If we did it this way, I can get it sold, and you explain how you can do it, right?
Yeah.
Walk them through through your diagnostic thinking step by step, right? Well, if the deed is in somebody else's name and they're dead, you got to go to probate. There's no way around it. Like, you explain the diagnostic of why you can do things, right?
Uh-huh.
Position yourself as a consultant rather than a buyer,
Ah.
right?
Yep.
All right. Malpractice barrier number 5, too much on promises, not on their pain. The problem is you're constantly saying, I can help you, instead of exploring their challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're solution focused instead of problem focused. Right? You're not digging deep enough to find out what's behind the problem. In other words, you're handling the symptoms, not the disease, right?
Yep.
Interrupting them to explain benefits before understanding their needs, and you're making it about your experience rather than their situation.
Mm-hmm.
The negotiating solution is master the 80-20 rule. 80% questions about their pain, 20% statements about the solution. For every promise you want to make, ask 3 questions about their situation first. Use phrases like, tell me more about how that's affecting you. What concerns you the most about this situation? How has this problem impacted your daily life? Impacted is a big word. How has this problem impacted your daily life? And we used to use this question all the time, Peter, and I don't know why we stopped, but
Mm-hmm.
what would it mean if this problem was solved?
Oh.
Right? So you're going to implement this approach by, when they mention a problem, resist immediately offering a solution. They don't want a solution, right? Respond to problems with questions that go deeper, not promises. Listen for emotional language that reveals their true pain points. Ask about impact before offering solution. Create emotional connection to their pain before discussing relief. Let them fully express their frustration before positioning yourself as a solution. Malpractice number 6. Your deals consistently fall apart. In other words, you're on the phone with them, they say they got a deal, and they go to sign paperwork, they don't sign the paperwork. They disappear or ghost you.
Yep.
The problem is you weren't building deals on, you were building deals on misunderstandings. You were given a seminar and it went over their head. You were too technical, you talked too much. You didn't concentrate on them. I read this book one time called The Asking. I don't even know if it's still in print. Do you remember the guy's name? I think it's, I don't even know where the book is. It's called The Asking.
Mm.
I met this guy live at an event. He was like, this was like 10 or 15 years ago, and he was like 90 years old then. But The Asking is about church donations, he teaches people how to get donations for their church.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They did a study, like when they did cycles with people, in other words, asking for money.
Yeah.
Like, all based on who talked the most. And the short story is that there were people that didn't remember the next day what they talked about. But then there were people that remembered 5 or 6 weeks later what they talked about. And the difference was whoever talked the most remembered the most. So if the person that was being asked for a donation did 80 or 90% of the talking, 5 weeks later they would remember that.
Interesting.
So if in this case your deals consistently fall apart, they don't remember what you said because you did too much talking and they didn't do enough talking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're not getting explicit agreements on the problem before presenting the solutions. you're assuming you know what the seller wants instead of having the seller tell you what they want. And sellers get cold feet because agreement was built on a shaky foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It was too
They,
much about you, not enough about them.
yeah, they really didn't feel you could help them
Right.
ultimately.
Well, you didn't understand their problem, and they don't feel like. See, the most magical thing in the world is when well, it's a marketing thing, right? Is when your message matches their conversation in their head already,
Yeah.
and then it shows them hope, right? It shows them transitions. It shows them they can transition into what they want to be, right? And that's what you're trying to do. So the anti-negotiating solution is confirm understanding on each step. Confirm, and I went over this. I tried to go over this on 469, and I
Mm.
don't feel like I don't feel like I did a good job of it. So I'm going to be very explicit here with it. Okay.
Okay.
Confirm understanding using each step on each step, and you do that with. So you say something like, okay, so let me get this straight. You're having trouble with your husband, right?
Yeah.
And they say, yes. So do you think you got it? You think you got the problem?
No.
Okay, good. So
Yeah.
you say, so
Tell me
here are,
more.
yeah, exactly. Let me make sure I understand about what's going on with your husband, right? Or you're saying that you have to sell the house because you're going to have a tax lien. So let me make sure I understand about this tax lien. Is that correct while you're selling?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Another one is, so your biggest concern is, and their main issue, is that right?
Mm.
If we could solve whatever specific problem that, uh, I'm sorry, if we could solve whatever that specific problem is, would that address your main concern? And then, and then this one, you've heard me say this a bazillion times, but I'm telling you, it can't be done enough. I always do this at the end of any call. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important the specific factor compared to another factor are you? What I do is on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is where your deal is done. I bought your house. Where are we? Well, I'm at a
Yep.
5. Okay, well, how do we get to a 10?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And then the real shit comes out, right? So how do we implement this approach? We get verbal confirmation after every major point of understanding so that we're both on the same page. You're verifying. It's quality assurance. It's QC, quality control. You're making sure you're putting in quality control on every major point to make sure that you're fully understanding what they're going through. Use phrases like, let me make sure I have this right. Frequently. Create written summaries of what you have agreed upon. Establish clear priorities among their various needs. Right? So, what did I just say? I want you to, because that's important. Establish clear priorities among their various needs.
Well, priorities would you'd want to know like first, second, third. Like if they're telling you, I need to move in 3 months and we need the toilet fixed. So the toilet you can fix quickly, but you have to keep prioritizing. So you need to move in 3 months, right? Okay, we're going to do this because you need to move in 3 months. Okay, I called the blah, blah because we need to do that so you can move in 3 months. I need you to sign this so we can get you out of here in 3 months.
That is correct. That is correct. The way I also use it is okay, so if we do this deal, here's what's going to happen first, here's what's going to happen second, here's what's going to happen third, here's what's going to happen fourth, and then are you able to do all that?
Yeah.
Right? Now, I can say that to my creative REI reply users because in the system there's checklists for every one of the deals. So you just get the checklist and you just read the next 3 or 4 steps and you sound like you've done it 100 times. Okay?
Yeah. Well, you're painting the vision how they're going to get to what they need.
That's right.
And you're being very specific so they're not like, I wonder what's going to happen now.
That's right. So get explicit agreement on the problem before discussing the solution. Check in regularly. Does that sound right to you? That should be probably between, let me make sure I have this right, and does that sound right to you? Those should be asked probably 100 times in a call.
You know, Ron LeGrand used to go, that sound fair?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah. Address concerns immediately rather than hoping they'll go away. Confront the barriers.
Oh, yeah.
So to summarize, to complete the framework, 1, you're going to interrupt the pattern by using the 12 magic words. 2, you're going to diagnose the prescription using the follow-up questions. 3, you're going to create vision by helping them visualize successful outcomes. 4, you're going to empower their veto by acknowledging their control. 5, guide with questions. I'll give it to you again. Guide with questions that reveal true motivations. 6, confirm understanding before presenting any solution. And 7, present solutions as discovery to their. So you're going to work on their solutions, not an offer.
Yeah.
Right, which replaces one malpractice habit of anti-negotiating, cure each day. This is for implementation. Record seller conversations to identify your default patterns. Practice with low-pressure situations first and build confidence. Create a checklist of key questions to ask every seller. Preview the framework before every seller conversation. And measure results by tracking changes in seller responses.
Okay.
All right, Peter, that was a lot today. It's actually a whole seminar.
Well, you know, it's all fitting really well with the other two, the two prior podcasts that you did.
Right.
So it fits, and you know, you have to. By the way, folks, repetition is important in education. So if any of this sounds familiar, good. Might get through our thick skulls.
Yeah.
Use it.
I could, Peter. So thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed today. I know that I'm giving too much information. You know, these are technically books and courses that I should be selling, but that's just my nature. We don't have any advertising here. We don't have commercials. We're not like all the other kind of podcasts that are looking to try to make money. This is just me trying to give back to the community. So the only request I have of you is to go to Amazon, type in William Hawthorne, Hawthorn, and look for the book Leads, Deals, Cash, Creative Real Estate Operators Manual, and get started. Like, that book is the blueprint. There is a whole chapter at the end of the book on anti-negotiation, which I pulled from today. I didn't put the malpractice stuff in there because that came up after I wrote the book. But I do believe I am going to write a book called Creative Real Estate Anti-Negotiating Secrets for Gargantuan Profits. But we'll see what happens. My time is kind of been pulled lately, so we'll see what happens. So eventually down the road, I'll get to it. Thank you for listening. Make sure you like us wherever you're watching or listening to us. Make sure you subscribe. Leave a comment if you so wish. And again, thank you for all your support. If you have any questions, you can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, or you can email me at flippinghousesforrookies@gmail.com. All right. Over and out. Flourish and prosper. Talk to you on podcast number 471.